15-second game 2 out of RNG. We now find ourselves back trying to get into this game 3 between the teams as it's now evened up 1-1. Again, we apologize for how that game 2 went. Technical issues in the back meant that we had to jump into it live as it was ending. So if you do want to catch the VOD, you can find it on lpl.qq.com. Use your favorite translate function to find the videos page, sort by the LPL under Professional League, and it should be listed under there very shortly. But let's get into this game 3, because now we were talking a lot about the mid-jungle synergy between Alex and Cool and MLXG and Xiaohu, and I want to talk about this a little bit more because this looks to be the important matchup for this game 3. It decided game 1. From what we can see about that Zoe pressure, it decided game 2 as well by roaming top. Is it going to decide game 3?
Yes, and funny enough, this is the time in which RNG is getting tested on that, because remember, without Uzi, they're kind of experimenting a little bit where to put Zatai. They've been putting Zatai in the mid lane quite frequently with the Darius picks, and you see him rolling on the stage, FPX that is. Now, what's interesting is that they've had to put more importance on the mid side of the map, because the last series that they had, they started getting punished in the mid lane. Yeah. Zatai started getting focused a little bit. So now you bring Xiaohu back into the mid lane. You've been putting your top laners, your bruisers, on the side lanes. And this is when RNG have been starting to put Xiaohu on a pedestal. And they are getting, let's say that less in game 1. Game 2, they're trying to fight back. And in game 3, I wonder who wins out. Yeah, getting that little tiger back to the fire that charged him all the way up to semifinals at Worlds just 7-8 months ago. But you'll see on your screen right now, it's actually Let Me stepping in for Zatai, who's finally stepping out for the roster. He's been playing with the team quite a lot ever since Uzi decided to take a break and Zatai decided to fill in that marksman role, playing top laners in the mid lane, but now it's Let Me's turn to run the show. Yeah, and we're getting real close to the MSI roster. That's what that's what it is for me. I mean, Zatai's been getting a lot of playtime. Not anything bad about him. In fact, his Rift Rivals performance was spectacular, showcasing the Aatrox. Coming back into the league has been real strong coming into the mid lane. Now, sure, he's been playing quite frequently with Let Me, and the reason why I say it's very comparable to their MSI rosters, now they have Abel in the AD carry slot, so they can run marksman. I wonder if that's where they go to. We've already seen that in that game too. The 4-1-2 Draven on his first step up. Again, Abel, for those of you who don't know, was the player who is tearing up solo queue in China, even going onto the Korean server, and was called a scripter by FLICKR himself. He's not a scripter. He put a webcam on his hands to show that he's actually just that good. And this is supposed to be the protege behind Uzi. You've got Abel, you've got Y4, you've got so many talented guys, but this is the hot new stuff, and it showed up on that Draven in game 2. I just love the fact that you see a lot of faith towards Abel. Now, of course, coming into this point, and I say faith because now Y4 has took his talents to LGD. Same with Sean P going towards OMG. And it's just Abel behind him, so it's a lot more focused that if they do not have Uzi, then they can just utilize their secondary AD carry. And Abel, he finally gets the time on stage, which is wonderful to see. I mean, last game, you didn't get to see it, but apparently it was fantastic. This time around, we get to all enjoy it. I mean, it's that time on a marksman as well. Last time he played, he was on that Yasuo in the bottom lane, because that was just at the advent of the 8-11, 8-12. So an opportunity for him to strut his stuff against FPX and make a showing for himself, because again, RNG isn't just a 5-man roster of the people on the team. They're a 7, they're an 8, they're a 9-man roster. This team can do anything. Yeah, and it's always a good indicator when they start putting in players. Last time around, you notice they can do funneling because they had MLXG and Karsa coming in. This time around, the fact that they have Abel means that they want to play towards the later stages of the game with an AD carry. So it's a good inclination. I wonder if FPX can try and get a counter strategy. Well, we'll have to see if they can get towards that 23-minute late game like they did in game 2. That said, it's time for our casters to get us into game 3.
让我们把故事传唱下去，继续书写 RNG 的传说。
Thank you, gentlemen, and we're going to be here one more time tonight, our very final game of the night. We cannot have any more, unfortunately, but we are here in Beijing once again. And for the crowd here, they actually got to enjoy the full game. So we're getting ready for this final one as we head into Champions League. RNG and FPX, it will be Varus, Talia, and Nocturne ban out from RNG. And on the opposite side, an Aatrox, of course, followed by the Swain, and looking towards the final ban, which will be Zoe. And it looks like RNG recognizing that Alex has really been the new energy injected into FPX and how they're finding their victories. We saw a little bit from the highlights that he had grabbed hold of the Nocturne, not too much success, but to a lot of success with the Talia in game number 1. In fact, probably the pivotal pick that allowed FPX to take it and allow
allow us to get to game 3.
Yeah, good old Xiaohu in the mid lane has definitely woken up from his spring siesta. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Abel looking very strong as well. Also, a fact you can bring him out onto stage in the home arena and he will still just look good. Top side, we're going to be picking up a Galio, likely for Xiaohu in the mid lane.
And finally, respect giving to the little tiger, like you're saying, has woken up, and he also has the Zoe banned away from him. So I feel like once shy to twice bitten for FPX here, and allowing the Zoe to go through, but no longer on the third. Is this going to be a funnel comp?
Maybe, maybe. It will be a Xayah picked up by FPX. Now, if this was a different team, I'd be like, is that Xayah going in the jungle? But most likely it's going to the bottom side, because that's what he picked up in game 2, and it was also alongside of Rakan.
And I feel like you have to pick up the Rakan here, because Ming has been phenomenal at that champion. Just erase game 1 for your minds. Forget about it.
What game 1?
Exactly. Thank you. In fact, it was game 2 that got erased, which was unfortunate.
What game 2? No, so we'll have the duo picked up here for FPX and RNG. Back over to them, 11 seconds left on this one. Now, what priorities are still up that RNG might like? Oh, yes, Camille, who will pair perfectly with Galio.
The question is are they going to grab their support, their ADC, or their top laner here? I'd like to see the top lane go through, just because I feel like Abel has a very wide selection of champions.
Yep.
Or maybe you grab something like the Tom Kench if you want to try to play a safer bottom lane.
I mean, Abel, if I'm not mistaken, was the guy to bring Yasuo into the meta back when all those freak changes were happening. He was the guy to be the innovator.
He was also the first guy to play the double-tier Ezreal build.
Indeed, indeed. Abel is the scientist behind the scenes, much like a Bond film. He's given it to the main roster to use.
Now, the reason why the cameraman quickly flipped between Abel and Letme is, of course, that this is a flex pick. I do expect this to go into Letme's hands, though. He's usually been the Kennen player. And then it's also the question of what type of Kennen build and performance are we going to get?
Indeed, we've actually been seeing, funny enough, more AP Kennens nowadays in the top lane, even though they're usually picked up into matchups where it would be better for it to be AD. So look out for that one. Hey, how's it going? And that will be a Kindred pickup for FPX.
Seeing a lot of Kindred all night. She's certainly been cropping up since Score debuted her at Rift Rivals, so a lot of the skirmish potential, a lot of the anti-assassination potential. I really like Kindred as a counter to the RNG composition that they're putting together. This missile-guided composition that Coach Hart on your screen has started to orchestrate. Kindred can deny a lot of that.
She can. She can be a major pain in the arse, as we saw in our first series of the day, in fact. Kindred was an excellent answer.
And you see in tandem with a lot of Xayah's built-in securities, like the ultimate.
The Feather Storm.
Can make it very hard to break that back line. But LWX, never one to play safe, usually playing on the front lines.
Oh yeah. He will definitely be moving forwards with that Xayah. We'll take away the Kai'Sa. Remember, Abel is a highly mechanically gifted player, as the analyst was saying. So take away as many of those opportunities from him as possible. Kai'Sa's going to be a big one. Shen as well for the protection, because clearly it's like a guided missile plus big carry from RNG seems to be on the docket. And that will be a Lulu and a Gragas coming in from RNG with a Vladimir pickup. Now this is a throwback for Gimgoon.
Could also be a flex still between Cool.
Yep.
So not quite sure where these lanes are going to land, and ultimately it could also mean that we have a role swap. Maybe Cool takes the Vladimir down into the bottom lane, maybe it's still a funnel composition, although funneling with a Kindred doesn't feel great, but I've seen stranger things.
Yeah, it's a great show. I would actually love Cool to go into the bottom lane, then put Gimgoon in the mid lane, and then put LWX top lane. If you had a Vayne and it was like a Mundo matchup, that would be perfect. But probably not going to be the case. RNG looking towards a Morgana.
This is a very stock standard composition from RNG. They've run this a million times. We've seen it a million times in the LPL. We're just now looking for the traditional marksman to come through. And it's not traditional, but it is marksman.
It is. It is Draven in the bottom lane, the executioner himself. We saw this in game 2, and we saw some of it in game 2. And it looked like he was doing pretty well. He got a triple kill in the final fight. And Abel is a mechanical monster, so it would make sense to give him something like Draven. But he's got to live up to the hype, because at the same time you also have players like JackieLove running around. You know, it's like his pick. So it's important that Abel does well with this one. And it will be a gangplank into the top lane. So you're right, it was flexed into the mid lane, that being Mr. Vladimir. And it will be gangplank for the top lane for the Goon.
So an old school pick for Cool on the Vladimir. And both traditional competitions, both big 5v5 competitions have their scaling potential. I feel like there's a larger window for RNG to try to hit early, as opposed to, I'm saying like post level 6, I think.
Right.
It'll be post level 6 is when things start blowing up for RNG, whereas a small window between levels 1 through 5, where FPX can try to get their foot in the door through their jungle position.
We're just a couple moments from getting into our last game of the night here on a Friday for LPL. There are many, many more days and games coming your way for the rest of the week. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday will all be broadcasting, but here on Friday, this will be it. All comes down to this. I'm sure the crowd is raring to go as well. That RNG crowd definitely came back in that second game. When things were looking rough, they were behind their home crowd team as well. So they can make it happen, because a lot of it will be off the back of this guy on your screen, and this guy too. Also the fact that Let Me has been brought back into the top lane over Zatai, big deal. In the bottom lane, bringing in Abel. They've tried many different roster swaps in this series, and it seems like game 2 was, where was that?
Lemmy's had a very interesting history. He's played for a very long time alongside Xiaohu, and Xiaohu really was the crowning jewel that this RNG roster was built around. I mean, now the international audience will say, but what about Uzi? But the fact of the matter is that way longer before Uzi, it was all about Xiaohu. It wasn't until very recently that the team started to move all about Uzi, and you saw that god-tier performance from him at MSI. And because of Xiaohu's vocal and his strength and his importance in the roster, he brought Let Me alongside with him, because the two go way back. And RNG have always been very adamant that they recognize the world caliber potential in Let Me, but it is just about time that the world is finally starting to figure it out, that this guy is a signature pick for RNG.
Absolutely. Let's see it one more time here tonight in the LPL as I hand it off to Beijing. Now that was coordinated from RNG. That was the 5 chant play coming in there, mixing it up in the tier number 2 and 4. I like it a lot. I'll give that one a solid 9.
They have a flag guy that helps coordinate and lead them.
Bill came with the Jio as well. That was hype. Good stuff, RNG. Of course, home arena here in Beijing for themselves. Very, very new as of this split. Xi'an was the other one for Team WE.
I really like the early vision coming out of FPX to respect the power of this bottom lane. So by placing 3 wards around the pit, they get information about where MLXG is starting, because they see that Ming walking through the area, but it also means that they feel confident there's not going to be any level 2 gank shenanigans, especially when you're looking at a Draven Morgana lane.
Absolutely, but big thing for this early game for Draven is to not die. Now, that sounds like some Korean advice right there, but it's absolutely true for Draven. You really want to not die so you can cash in those stacks you get naturally from the laning phase. Abel, he's not going to be missing a beat. He will be able to get 6 on a wave, you'd have to hope, and that will be an extra 2 stacks per wave on his passive.
Look at MLXG's pathing. He went from red to red and did not skip a beat. There was no Scuttle Crab, there was no Raptor Camp. He placed 1 deep trinket in the Raptor brush so he can see if Alex starts to come around the corner. And Alex is frankly just going to get 3 buffed here. So MLXG with very aggressive pathing, and you can see that this is being reflected in where Xiaohu is standing on the lane, making sure that he has the push so that Cool can't early rotate, covering his jungle just in case anything happens, and surprise, you've been had.
Got him. MLXG moving into the river now will also pick up that crap. We get to take a look at Cool's runes. He's gone for Electrocute on this one, Taste of Blood, interesting stuff, and Nimbus Cloak as well on Sorcery. And we've seen a lot of Predator Vladimirs recently. Oh, MLXG's caught out on that ward just as about to time out. It's going to be done now.
I think he's going to go for the Krug camp.
Yeah. I think he was thinking about top lane, but I mean, there's no chunk down on Gimgoon, so that's not going to happen. We've got Alex going back to base because he knows exactly where MLXG is.
He's trying to find the Kindred.
Yeah. Joke's on you. A couple seconds off from that ward, so really unfortunate.
Still though, it feels like Alex is still playing from the back foot behind MLXG, although MLXG's level doesn't necessarily reflect that, or his gold, because he still has his blue buff to walk back to at any point.
He is actually going to give it the ghost on that one. Go back towards his own jungle, not complete the Krug camp. Alex is going under the assumption that the Krug camp has been taken, and the MLXG is probably still topside / has gone back. So now he's going to instantly go towards the enemy jungle, look towards these chickens, but guess what? There's a ward there. This has been spotted out, so pings instantly go down coming out from RNG, so they know where Alex is now. Yeah, I mean, they knew that was happening. Ward comes down, Mark was on it. Gonna give up the rest of the popcorn chicken and shoot out the Scry's Bloom and clear up the rest of the pack.
Otherwise, it's been very quiet. We kind of talked about these windows that FPX might have to play around. Unfortunately, MLXG's pathing have just meant that him and Alex will never cross paths. That it was the successful 3 buff, so I feel like FPX already lost a lot of their power that they would have had and kind of this initial jungle clear.
Sorry, folks. It's got smite.
But he doesn't want to use it.
No, he doesn't. Make me scared for a second. And we've got Alex moving into the bottom side of River. There are no crabs to be had. On the waypin coming out. Yeah, it looks like Xiaohu's moving down here in the bottom lane. That's a lot of damage onto Abel, but he's going to kite back. Flash forwards out from Ming, forcing out the cleanse onto LWX. He'll kite away, but Chris was the one to continue to take damage from Abel. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Cool taking damage out from Xiaohu. Harass combo comes in
Kindred bottom.
In its full. In the bottom lane, Abel flashes away. In comes LWX and Alex out from the jungle, blasting him underneath that tower.
An immediate response for Alex. Starts pathing bottom, sees an overly aggressive attempt from Ming and Abel, and punishes the inexperience of this collective bot lane. So great response from FPX. And now a lot of missing flashes, especially on the side of RNG. This could be a very easy repeat maneuver from Alex.
Yeah. We saw it already in that game 1. That's how he approached it. We can see how this one started. Yeah, Alex coming in right around. Unfortunately, Abel was just caught up.
Yep, just too much damage. Good placement from what, Wolf?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Wow.
Whoa. Cool fan right there. Yeah, Abel, really good in the mechanics. Check him out when he's looking for those 2v2s, specifically in the moment in the micro, because he was optimizing that damage perfectly on Crispin and WX. Positioning, not so much.
It's the make or break difference about where you layer your circles with Kindred, because I feel like so many times, we saw this in the LCK, and Papa made a great point about it, just making sure that you're on the cusp of the tower dive when you layer down your Lamb's Respite, or where Wolf's reach really is. It sounds so minute for Kindred, but she really is a very position-heavy champion.
Yep. She really is. It's just about making sure that you essentially have the perfect Venn diagram when she places down her circles. Again, just look at Abel in his laning phase. Like, it's actually, this guy is really, really, really good mechanically.
Known as the orb walking monster, you may have seen it on some of the signs when it flashes to the crowd.
Yep. His
mechanics, obviously, on showcase there. And it's funny because it feels like we had 2 big Draven players feed into our league at the same time, both Abel and Jackie Love, known for their Draven performance, and so we get to see some of these star picks come out.
Last time I saw Jackie Love, to be fair, he was feeding on Draven. It was back in that, against RNG, in fact. It was IG versus RNG, and Uzi picked up Vayne. The crowd went nuts, we went nuts, and Uzi went, haha, suckers, and flexed top lane into Mundo on his Vayne.
Wasn't Jackie Love's fault.
That's what they always say. Classic Draven players.
So MLXG is down here because he's trying to cover for his bot lane not having access to their flashes, and they are very forward into the lane, but it just means that extra attention needs to be given to create vision and safety for them. There's also the added benefit that they'll make the assumption that Kindred is topside because of the red spawning. So means that MLXG doesn't necessarily get to repeat back-to-back contests the red and try to make use of the fact that Galio has access to ultimate and try to do something crazy up there. But it does mean that Abel and Ming are able to try to reset where this lane's positioning is.
For sure. And the assumption was indeed correct. Alex was topside taking red, went for a full clear on this side of the map, so everything is gone now. He'll go back to base and maybe complete his first item of the game at 8 minutes. That would be nice. Yeah, there we go. It's going to be Warriors in trend. Probably no brown bags to follow that, though. Though he makes up for it because Kindred is fairly mobile in the early game. Mid lane, I should say, is actually just pretty much farming out right now. It's tiniest of advantages, one wave advantage to Cool. It's actually top lane where I'm looking at. It is indeed going to be a AP cannon. It's going to be a full combo here from Xiaohu.
That's a
Cool has
ridiculous
to pop
combo.
the ultimate. Yeah, I mean, it was never going to be a kill right there, but it forces Cool to use his ultimate.
Yep, forces him then also to expend so much time trying to get back up into health.
Yeah, top lane, again, big CS advantage going over to Let Me. That's going to be about 4 waves right now. This is a Klepto GP, however, so it's going to even it up, but only even it up. This GP will never be ahead of the cannon in his top line. Meanwhile, you've got
This is
Alex.
a big disadvantage, however, for FPX, because like you said, we're not playing with that Hemoplague, and good read from Ning.
This is going to be starting off on Alex, though, full combo landing. He doesn't get a chance to use the Respite.
And again, it just kind of comes back to why are FPX sitting at 2-6 in the standings? Well, you have some of the decisions like that. There's no reason for Alex to be looking for a play right there. Your mid laner had just used his ultimate. You were never going to win that because you don't have enough buttons to press, and unfortunately is picked out. And especially when they knew that Ming was making the rotation over, they saw the Squire's Bloom, so needed to make the assumption. They also pulled Crisp up on the Recon. Maybe thought that they could use the Recon, have a quick engagement, pop someone before it was too late. Caught off guard.
I mean, frankly, it felt like Alex right there felt like he had to do something. Because no counter up, so he's like, okay, I'll look at mid lane. Even though it's disadvantageous, maybe he was looking to give pressure towards Xiaohu right there, onto Xiaohu, I should say, and actually just give more pressure over to Cool.
It just shows some of the growing pains that FPX are still having.
Yeah.
Communication, the fact that it felt like he didn't see where Xiaohu was because he just face-checked into perfectly layered CC into insta-death, didn't even get a chance to use his ultimate.
Yes. But I think this is one of the major problems with not just pro players, but like League of Legends players in general. There's always a need to do something. It's like, well, I'm playing a video game, I always have to do something, when in reality the best play is to do nothing. And wait for the enemy to do something, and then you just punish them, which is very similar to that, what happened right there.
I do agree. Sometimes patience is just the best maneuver, but FPX, I would never use a word to define
That's
them
true.
as
Patience is not a virtue of your FPX. It's not in their vocabulary, not in their playbook.
I feel like they work very well with hype and momentum, forward aggression. They're at their best when they're charging and striking first, which against this composition is quite difficult to do.
I mean, really, they just embody Kled as a team. That's historically how they have been. And Alex, try again. This is going to be a double taunt into the Hemoplague, forcing a flash out from Xiaohu.
Very good positioning. I believe it was cool that body blocked the Falcon Punch, if you will, from Galio. Yeah. So he couldn't create the correct distance, forcing the flash out of Xiaohu.
Yeah, it's small things like this that you'll just notice from those players. Very important in those micro situations. Alex is still going to move bot side, find himself another mark onto the scrap. Wow, Chinese King just sounds very different.
Let me tell you about Chinese Kog'Maw.
The devil. I don't want to hear it. Weirdly enough, Cho'Gath isn't nearly as bad as Kog'Maw.
Mungo's pretty bad as well.
Mungo's great. Mungo's 10 out of 10. Would listen to that conference call. Now, Alex is going to move towards the bottom side and look for his own recall. Both teams are playing this very chill in the early game. This is very different from game 1.
Well, FPX probably feeling the pressure because they're one game away from taking down RNG and trying to even up some of their scoreboard. They need to make the wins count here in cross-conference.
Popping the ultimate here, Let Me. Gimgun actually deciding to turn around, dodges the auto attack, the Q, sorry, and will walk it off, though. We'll have to burn his oranges right there. Again, wasn't ever going to be a kill, but trying to force an ultimate for an ultimate is the play. Maybe send him back to base as well since he has no TP. So really nice stuff from Let Me. It's going to be RNG picking up the Herald as well. And this might just be an insta-shally.
It looks like it's going to be the exact same play that we saw in the first series. Nope. Emlex, she's going to pull the trigger.
Oh, no.
He's going for it.
It's impossible to read MLXG. We don't know what he's doing. The enemy doesn't know it. I don't know if MLXG knows what he's doing.
He's calculated. He is the mad scientist of the jungle. I'm going to call him the mad genius.
The mad genius, yeah. Because I think we've already given that moniker to Snake. So we need something new for MLXG. Again, nice combo on there onto Cool. Looking for a roam here, Crisp and Alex. unable to find purchase. NXG is just going to be on his red buff, and Ming just going to rotate towards the bottom lane. Abel was even thinking about roaming up, actually. He was in the jungle, but moves back towards his wave. Knew he had a bit of time, since it was a cannon wave crashing. So just small things like this is important to know. He's going for the OG Draven build, so he's going for the Bloodthirster. Back in the day, back when you used to think of Draven players like Freeze in Europe, he was a big proponent of going for the high crit build and pretty much no attack speed. It was like Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster in a reverse order, and even Death's Dance, something like that. So you hit real hard when you come in, and then finally for third or fourth item you go for Rapid Fire Cannon, which allows you to go in for sieges and poke damage with the Draven. So it makes up for some of his short rangeness.
I find Draven a very therapeutic champion to watch, and especially good Draven players, because I still think that he's just so difficult to play at a competitive level due to the fact that you telegraph where you're going to be moving in team fights to upkeep your damage intake versus pretty much any other champion. But mid lane...
Oh, the lead coming in from MXG was huge. Cool's going to get caught in the shockwave, and MXG finds the kill.
It almost feels too easy, the Camille Galio. We should come up with a combo name for that.
Camille Galio?
Camilio?
I was thinking ultimates, actually. I was thinking of the Heroes Ultimatum.
And here I am thinking about Brangelina. It's fine. Shelly gets the big push off, and it looks like it's going to be another mid lane tower that falls down. Now, when RNG really rocketed off to success, it was the mid lane tower that fell first in game number 2, which allowed the unlocking of Xiaohu to start roaming around the map in a very similar situation in game number 3 tonight.
Catch this.
As you said, with the lead, really putting a cloud on Cool's day.
Yep, he was not on Cloud 9, that's for certain. Rest in peace. That was really nice from MLXG. And this is the thing about MLXG, he will just do those things sometimes. Like, he just turns it on. He's just MLX Jesus, MLX God, whatever you want. It's better over text, but this guy, really, really, really strong. 50% of the time. I like the mentality that if you do crazy things enough of the time, they stop being crazy. So if MLXG continues to push the boundaries of League of Legends and just do the unexpected, it's just him.
That at some point it then just does cross the line over into genius.
I mean, the thing is, if you're doing that and everyone follows suit, then who was really crazy? Was it the entire world? Well, MLXG would definitely say that was the case. And this guy, sometimes it goes a bit MLXD, but I think that's like maybe 20% of the time now. I think 80% of the time is when he really pops off. I do like this play from FPX, recognizing that they have the back tempo advantage and immediately rushing towards the Infernal. Very clever. Pays off huge for them. It does leave them exposed on the top side, so see if Game can wiggle his way out of this. Has flash. Oh boy. Well, there's multiple stuns to deal with here, so we're going to see if he can do it. Pops the ultimate. Nope. He didn't do it. I also like the fact that he didn't waste his flash, understood that certain death was about to come. And then just lets it go, but that is Infernal for tower and a kill, unless Cool and Alex can get here in time. Ooh, it's going to be close. It's on Cannon Wave as well. They are forcing them back. Alex is going to clear this one out, and it is enough to send RNG packing. I mean, they don't have neither ultimates. They have both flashes, so there's potential for them to win the fight, but it's Cool with Ignite and Hemoplague, so that's what they're up against. And now things should start to slow down a little bit as we take our backs, reset our map. But again, Xiaohu is currently unlocked. This is the Galio. And now it's going to be where RNG going to hit. They can just isolate the top lane, throw everything that they want, and the kitchen sink it to the bottom. Top lane will fall on its own. And maybe get the 2-for-1 special that both towers fall at the same time. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be really, 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 really nice. Was cracking open this mid lane very early is, of course, a very good thing for them. Makes it easy to rotate around the mid lane and use that as a pivot point. And there we go, just waiting for that sweeper to come off cooldown. MXG and Ming in tow. We'll find that one and head back towards the jungle. Seeing that Mark is on this crook camp. He actually spots that ward and is unable to clear it. He's like, no, hookshot, please, not pulling me over the crook camp. There's a ward behind the dragon pit. Yeah. They pinged it though, so everyone knows where it is now. And Alex will get himself another crab. He's actually done really well in terms of crab control. This is like, I think he's pretty much picked every single one off spawn. They've done a good job with the vision that they've been able to acquire. They've constantly had the back of the dragon pit warded, and so whenever they do get information of MLXG, Alex is always able to punish it. You know, he's grabbing these camps, keeping himself up and even in the game. The difference is that MLXG is keeping himself even and his laners. But that's not all on Alex. No, it is not. It's definitely a team game right here. Bot lane still farming up. Important to note that Abel did die earlier on, but that was fairly early into the laning phase, so I haven't had a chance to actually check his stacks. I've been waiting for us to move towards the bottom lane and actually take a look at how many stacks he has. But he is definitely sitting on a lot. He would like to get a kill in the near future. Bloodthirster first is also really nice for that because it allows you to consolidate more. It's harder to kill the Draven so he can cash in his initial stacks.
Allows him to sit into the lane and just farm it up.
Yep. I wonder which direction he goes now. There's a chance that he goes for the Infinity Edge, but he might not. I mean, there's more AD on the item now, but he may go towards Storm Razors. We'll see. He has picked up the BS sword though, so it does lean towards a direction. Here comes LXG into the bottom lane, finds a tactical sweep, but is now being chased down. Not going to be rooted, though Cool and Alex were ready to receive on the play. Great dog finding.
Need to be respectful because Xiaohu is still sitting in the mid lane. Cool did a great job making sure that he shoved the way forward before he looked for the roam. And you can still see that FPX are trying to figure out the puzzle that is RNG about where they're going to attack them, how they're going to move around the map. And they have slowed down the bleeding. It's now just a 700 gold difference between the two. Both these teams' compositions are strong in the 5v5. I mean, really the big advantage of unlocking Xiaohu is that you have the mobility that you can strike anywhere on the map.
Yep.
But RNG have yet to do that. Feels okay though, because Let Me, like we said, would get the free tower, and he did.
Gimgoon though, following through, will force the flash out there from Let Me, and he's just going to walk it off. Into the top lane. In the bottom lane, Abel is just going to keep farming. Mid lane, MLXG looking for a follow through. Nope, he's just passing through. It's all good. Ping goes down onto him, and he's looking towards his blue buff.
Finally, we need to start looking towards that bottom lane. Feels like it's just been a very calm, measured, almost relaxing game from RNG and FPX.
It's actually a nice kind of change of pace, because I think our first 5 games today were just very frantic.
Game 1 was, I'm going to call it as I see it, a chore. That was one of the strangest games I've ever watched from RNG.
Or just in general, to be honest, in League of Legends.
I wish I had gone back and been able to actually see how that draft unfolded, if maybe there was just mad mind games, because otherwise I feel like RNG just really fell face forward.
I mean, really it was the way they were executing as well. There's a way to execute the draft that isn't... It was less about the picks and more about how they're executing just as a team, I think. Whereas in this game 3, as you said, it's more like a nature documentary. We're just, you know, chilling. We're learning things about League. We're learning about the players and learning about the picks. Right now, I'm looking towards Abel. He's actually picked up the Hex Drinker. He knows that fights are imminent, and there will be a Vladimir on his face.
I must survive.
He's got to protect the stacks, man, as I keep saying.
That's what it is. I'm just disappointed we didn't get the bounty duo lane. Why couldn't we get the Pike Draven?
Yeah, that's an IG special, and you know it. I feel like Ming doesn't take that many damage aggressive picks. He more goes towards like the Rakans, or like the Engagers, or the Predictive Champions. Like, I like to call him the Paladin, because I think that he really likes those shieldy picks. He is, or like the Engagers.
The one true support. Yeah. He is a support through and through. He will throw himself onto the arrow for you.
He will. And it's not so good doing that as Pike, is it? So he'd rather go for like a Morgana, an Alistar, a Rakan, something like that. Ooh. Potential play into the bottom side, especially with Lightning Rush being used there by Let Me. Well, it's 50-50 right now. It's a 1 versus 1. We're going to take a look at Xiao, who's definitely blasting Alex. Meanwhile, flash forwards from Gimgoon, and he will find it. Alex was able to rotate and chime in with the kill.
Yep, Let Me getting separated right there, and almost back-to-back Infernals. This is an excellent RNG spread for FPX. And RNG, they're playing it a bit from the hip. They're playing it a bit slow, and in their slow maneuvers, FPX have kind of found their breath, found their footing, and are making their way through this game. So, you know, if there is a moment that comes back to bite RNG, if this does go late, you're looking at double Infernal on top of Vladimir and Xayah. That's going to hurt.
That's actually a great way to describe RNG in this series. I think they've been shooting from the hip. They haven't really been looking at precision, they've just been kind of spraying down. And again, we can see Let Me comes in for the initiate, he's looking for the instant assassinate on the Gimgoon. It actually plays it pretty well. He's dancing around the barrels, combos correctly, jumps through, follows it with the animation counter on the orange, and then looks for the auto attack. So that was really well played by Gimgoon.
But it's also very interesting because the composition is so practiced and refined from RNG. We've seen them, you know, obliterate teams in 26 minutes with this window. And it just feels that MLXG and Xiaohu, for whatever reason, aren't necessarily on the same page as they stand together and take the blue buff.
Now, I wanted to talk about Gimgoon, but we might have to speak about him in a different light because he's about to face an ultimatum. Now, that ultimatum is whether MLXG is going to land his ultimate into the hero's ultimatum, and that did happen. And MLXG finds that kill. However, instant reaction from FPX. I like to see it. 4-man collapse onto this Baron. There's 2 people contesting. It's Abel and Ming right now as they step up. TP late on that one, just started. Ming will have to move forwards. Block coming out of Crisp right now. Baron down to 4K, choosing to back away.
It's just too dangerous. Now inside track for RNG. They have a mid lane prepped if they want, but they are going for the kills. Is he going to blast Cone over?
He's thinking about it. LWX. They're looking at the chicken. Oh, he's out of there. Chicken run.
They're trying to catch them as they maneuver back towards the inner turret. Oh, no!
Are you serious? Okay. LWX, I love to see that actually happen from the AD carry of FPX because usually he would take the slightly aggro
Look at the
route.
deep TP. So they're trying to now do the counter maneuver on
RNG.
Oh
No, Abel's by himself. My stacks! Not my stacks! Okay, you're throwing down the ultimate from Alex. He's going to keep him alive for a second, and it lets rip the Maelstrom. But the Draven is dead. His money's all over the floor. This is a disaster. FPX are going to find that kill, a second onto Ming and the third onto Let Me.
So controlled, so patient. They pull LWX all the way back around through his own base, and then once the AD carry is back in position, once they have the safety, they pull the trigger, super deep teleport, and punish RNG. They are all out of sorts this series.
I mean, right now, RNG is shooting from the hip, and FPX just decides to walk up and punch them in the face. And so far, it's working out very well. Triple kill, mid lane tower, and they're pushed up all the way to the inhib now. Top lane seems like a gimme. Baron has spawned 25 minutes, and FPX, they are in prime position to keep extending their advantage.
And what's so interesting is that RNG just aren't grouping up or using their skirmish potential. They're just kind of sitting back and collecting farm, collecting camps on MLXG. We've seen a couple of skirmishes here and there, but again, usually this type of composition is so practiced, so refined, so formulaic, and we're just not seeing it. That was an interesting replay into a replay. This is the previous fight, however.
Actually just destroyed. I mean, when LWX gets unleashed in a team fight, he will just dominate you. Same time, I feel like the Gimgoon mechanics on his gangplank have been great. He didn't really get shut down in laning phase that much. He got dive top and he got dive bot, but that's pretty much it. Right now, he's sitting pretty on 2.5 items. Now Baron is still on the menu for both of these two teams. I just need to see FPX play around this one correctly. Now, as you said, Frosk, in game 1, FPX have the worst control over objectives of everybody. So hopefully they can play around this correctly, because if they do, that's probably the last demon they need to face in this series.
It's really easy on their composition. The composition's ability to turn off the Baron is incredibly potent and powerful. The composition's ability to face check the Baron is actually quite strong, as long as they're doing it with Vladimir. He immediately checks for wards.
Oh, and he goes back towards the top lane. He's found once again in here his ultimatum, but here comes Alex. He's here with the ultimate. He's sitting on top of Core so he can place it down. The Gangplank ultimate also to dissuade and diffuse more than anything else as Let Me moves towards the top side. He doesn't have teleport. Neither does Gimgoon, but Gimgoon doesn't care. He's going to go back towards the bottom side and clear out that wave.
It's actually a bit more than just an annoyance that that bottom tower is still standing, because it means that Let Me has to be so much more conscientious of taking care of that wave and constantly having it pushed up. And because it is an AP cannon, you know, he doesn't want to be saddled out there in a side lane trying to split push. He wants to be grouped up with his team. He's starting to get more items where he's going to start hitting harder or actually be a factor in these team fights. Need to get that down.
Gimgoon obviously has to now sit in Fog of War. I mean, both top lanes do not have teleports. In fact, no one has a teleport, neither does Xiaohu. So typically you would say that RNG does have the advantage since Cool is actually running an Ignite in this game. But FPX are in a great situation right now where that's a non-factor. Alex is going to get caught by his banning in rotation, Dragon spawning in 40 seconds. But again, it's all about this Baron.
I wish that RNG would commit towards the side lane as opposed to trying to catch out FPX here. You constantly watch Xiaohu and MLXG skirting or shadowing towards the bottom side of the map because they want to kill the gangplank like we saw earlier on. But I don't know what the communication is in the comms or if Ming hits a binding, but you immediately see them adjust course and start walking back towards their horde, which might work out for them here as they're zoning with Let Me to pick off the tower, so good news there. But that was also then FPX having to go all the way back around through the top as opposed to backing up to their tower.
That's also a devastating combo that will show its face if RNG decide to be aggressive. The fact that you can put Black Shield on the cannon, he doesn't need to build an early Zhonya's because of that, which is really, really threatening. And then you've also got MLXG and Jiaohu, who can find their Hero's Ultimatum combo. So it's actually really good to engage if you're RNG. On the opposite side, FPX, how are they going to play these compositions? Well, you have Kindred, which seems to just be like the golden goose, to be honest. It's just the perfect pick in this scenario.
It just denies a lot of the assassination. We talked about how the protection with Xayah A having the rapid fire cannon, so she has the increased range, having her ultimate available, as well as having the protection from Kindred. If they can just survive the initial Galio, Camille, Kennen surge or blitz, then fights look really good for FPX in tandem with Xayah and Vladimir.
They do indeed. I'm checking in again on Abel. Remember what we were talking about, the big AD build? Well, he's actually gone for rapid fire cannon, kind of third. He's picked up the components of multiple items.
Wanted the flat AD of having access to both the Bloodthirster as well as the secondary BF sword, which we see all the time, and then went for the defense and then grabbed his longer range. He's kind of got the variety bucket, if you will.
He does, but it's all things that Draven want.
Yep.
Jiaohu is zoning right now by himself. Wards are on this one from FPX, so know exactly what's happening over the wall. Now it's being controlled by RNG. Now RNG will look to back away from this play. Crisp is on the front, again, looking for an ultimate. He's got the flash as well. He'll be able to dance quickness flash. RNG is setting up. They're setting up a bit of a death rush here. They've seen Cool. Flashes away, looks for the lead, follows up with the ultimatum, but the team is too far behind. Cool still stuck in this one. What a time to be alive for Vladimir. He's going to go right into a Sanguine Pool, look for another follow-up with a hook shot. And here comes Let Me, instantly putting down the ultimate. Alex, everyone take a time out real quick. And now we'll start dying. 3 kick kills in quick succession, but FPX are the ones to come out on top. Chris just slaps Ming across the face as Gimgoon looks to follow up and find the kill. Here's Abel, flashes out of the way. Can he find the kill? He gets one, kites around, looking for a second. Put down by the shotgun, right in the face. 3 kills owes LWX.
And the fact that LWX was able to maintain and have his ultimate that entire time, I'm sure it caught Abel off guard as he turned to try to turn it onto the Xayah. FPX, huge win here. Now have access onto the Baron as long as they can juggle this successfully. Gimgoon! Oh, almost falling down there. But thankfully they've got the Vladimir.
They do, and that is FPX taking the Baron right here. 10-7, double Infernals. And we can see that again, this was RNG trying very hard to force.
And huge credit to the Kindred pick, because this seems to be the make or break difference. Now, it starts out that so much is expended on Cool. That's 2 ultimates that don't mean anything to him. Just goes back into his pool, is able to disengage back into his team. And it looks good for RNG at this point until the Kindred ultimate survives the Kennen ultimate. And LWX is just free hitting from the background, as well as the fact that Gimgoon is blowing people up. And then, again, Abel probably just caught off guard. Immediately turns, dodges with the flash, thinks that he's going to probably pick up one more, never even gets the other auto attack off, and just in case, Xayah goes up into ult.
Whew. Look at that damage from LWX, absolutely insane. Lots of damage coming out from Abel on the backside and Let Me, but again, Let Me was unable to finalize kills because of Alex's ultimate. And also, if we were to hard analyze the way that Abel played that right there, yes, he died, but instantly puts the damage onto Chris, finds the kill, looks towards LWX because he's the one without a perfect timing stopwatch, so he knows that he wouldn't be able to kill Gimgoon in the first place. So he actually played it optimally. It was just the problem with the team fight. He was unable to actually really finish it off. MLXG will find a dragon, but he essentially traded dragon for a tower there.
And we're actually on the cusp that FPX are going to beat RNG.
Actually, look, we are, yes. We're right here, Frosk. And we're all about to bear witness. FPX in RNG's home in Beijing, about to hit them 2-1 and find the win. I don't know if anyone on the team tipped this to happen, but if you did, Godspeed.
And it just feels like RNG never really played proactive, never made use of the tempo and the momentum lead that they had. Credit to FPX that they were constantly grabbing deep vision, tracking where MLXG was, that Alex was always making sure that he was trading at least something. You know, if MLXG was getting successful ganks in the lane, at least Alex was getting EXP or gold or finding these stacks. So, credit where it's due.
Cute.
I think FPX played this one out clean. They got to late game with their composition, and this is where it thrives.
It is indeed. Looking towards LWX right now. Triple item has the Guardian Angel off of cooldown. Picked up Brawler's Glove as well.
He's way ahead of Draven.
Oh yeah. I mean, Draven also just completed his Infinity Edge, so he's in a pretty nice place for himself. The Morphman Mortius is going to be a long ways off. It'll probably be the last item that he completes. For now, he probably wants more crit. to go alongside that Infinity Edge. So he will still hit hard, the old Abel.
But I feel like he's the one-hit wonder. He wants the initial boom axe.
Yes, that's correct. He actually wants to poke more than anything else.
Yep.
Cool is just harassing away MLXG. This is the classic Draven build, but unfortunately the only person who's stepping forwards is Vladimir, and he heals. And Gimgoon also heals. So actually Draven with this poke build is actually in a terrible place right now. It's
fine as long as they're able to immediately delete someone. Because LWX has GA, because, oh, hold on though.
Big flank coming in. There's the ultimate coming down, but Lemmy's almost always deleted. As he comes out of that Zhonya's, he's gonna fall. It's only a Guardian Angel for that Maelstrom. Triple kill for LWX. They're reaching, and then finding nothing. The cookie jar is empty.
And it was no Smeb ultimate from Let Me. He saw it in his eyes. He thought he had the massive flank, but he doesn't have the damage, and more importantly, he doesn't have the follow-up. FPX could actually end the game here and end the series.
Right here, right now, they're pushing towards the towers. MLXG is doing his best to zone them away, but there's a massive minion wave here, and MLXG is getting deleted. Ultimate coming out from Alex, and he has stopped all of the aggression from MLXG. He'll bet a bit of time, but the Nexus is exposed. They will turn around, they'll put him down, and FPX rise from the ashes, and they will defeat RNG.
In front of the home Beijing crowd. This is a team that is sitting currently 2-6, now 3-6 in the LPL, a bottom of the barrel team. We call them potential, but we frankly haven't seen the spark. They've been through the roster, blowing it up, putting it back together, trying to find what works. And I don't know if this is really the answer. I feel like there were a lot of big holes from RNG, just very awkward mistakes that we're not used to seeing from the team, but FPX will certainly take it.
I mean, when really was it gonna bite them? And I mean, honestly, this was the breaking point. I think from here on out, RNG will look towards other solutions. They tried 3 different rosters in this series. Game 2 looked good. Game 3 obviously didn't work out for them. And again, as the analysts were saying, moving closer and closer to the MSI roster, but again, it didn't work out for them, and eventually it was going to be a breaking point, and it happened to be FPX who were the ones to break it open. Gotta feel good for them right now. The fact that they were able to find this call of the wave as well to the Beijing crowd. And really, just congratulations to them. FPX, there are sparks of brilliance, flashes in the pan, but they are magnificent when they happen.
And I'm going to echo Raz's point on the desk, because I think that was kind of the true breaking point was in the mid-jungle matchup. You know, without Uzi on the roster, it does mean that more responsibility is shouldered by Xiaohu, MLXG, and Karsa to be that primary carry for RNG. And Alex and Cool, while it was rough, they were able to control it, and it never spiraled out of control like it did in Game 2 into those side lanes to start the snowball. So you don't have to be fancy, you just gotta hold the line, and that's exactly what that man did.
Dig the high ponytail, by the way, Cool. 10 out of 10.
That is a man bun.
No, it isn't. Man bun would be folded in at the back. Anyways, Lemmy was doing a lot of damage in that game, but unfortunately, as we keep saying, Alex was just on point. I mean, he was Kindred in the game. I think Kindred just blasted RNG as a pick right here, and LWX at the same time was delivering damage, as was Gimgoon. So just well played to FunPlus Fingers. I felt like they had the upper hand in draft.
And a lot of Qs taken from RNG. The fact that they had a priority pick of the Gallia, it was very clear that it was going to be the Camille. Camille was left open, so it feels like FPX just outdrafted RNG. And
yeah.
This has been a consistent problem. You know, sometimes if it's Coach Hart or whoever wants to take the responsibility, that RNG just kind of fall flat on their face. And it felt like that's exactly what happened this series from the draft phase.
Yeah. On an individual level, though, liked what I saw coming out from Abel. Would like to see more from him in terms of mechanics. Really nice to see. For now, though, that's going to do it from myself and Froskerin for tonight. It's been a long one, folks. If you stayed with us for all 6 games, or 5 and 0.1, 5.1. For now, though, we're going to send it back to the analyst desk with Dom and Raz.
Thank you so much. And now we got to break it down. RNG. Do we get to be disappointed in them now, or do we save the disappointment till later?
I think if you save it for later, then you'll just not be able to get anything out of it. RNG is a team that can recover. So for about 5 seconds, we're disappointed. Oh, there we go. I think that's good enough.
Yeah,
that's good enough.
That's fair.
I think immediately, let's pull up the, I would say, champion select immediately.
Yeah.
Just because right from the get-go, RNG get a stock standard composition that we saw from the LCK and Rift Rivals.
The Galio, Camille first, then the Kennen from the side, and then you round it out with Morgana Draven. You look at this on paper and think, all right, this is great. This is a team fight. They've got pick. As long as they're able to solo someone out and kill them, it should be fine. And the answer, Kindred, Vladimir out of FPX. And these are the mid jungle, the two that you were talking about, the two people that need to be caught to blow this comp open.
And what's interesting is the Kindred itself is that that's a common counterpick towards the Camille. Camille specifically, but as well, I mean, if you have the Camille, you're likely going to be going towards the Galio as well. And so the concept is the Kindred has early game into the range versus melee matchup, unless if the Camille can get a jump onto you. But regardless of that, you should be able to have the early game, and then the later game you're fairly reactive. You wait for the Camille to come in, you press ultimate, and then suddenly you can have the counter attack. So that's the strategy. The problem is execution-wise during the LPL, it's usually the Camille Galio that comes in way too strong, that the execution is there, and it's usually Kindred getting blown up first before he can actually utilize his ultimate, or the rest of the team is there and it's usually Kindred that's not a part of the plan. This time around, Alex actually plays it super well. He was able to follow the hit squad that was being formed by RNG. I was like, wait a second. It's just basically Galio plus whoever it has a pick potential. They're just hunting the jungle, but FPX weren't getting baited out.
They certainly weren't. I mean, we even saw the strategy earlier today attempted to be used by JD, but once you get out of the ultimatum, if you can kill the Camille before the Galio gets there, or if you prevent the Galio from actually leaping onto his target, then that just locks him down. And you were saying while we were watching the game, wow, we're getting to see Alex really start to step up to his mechanical performances that we saw out of the LMS as well. So even in that respect, FPX were matching RNG, MSI winners, Rift Rivals champions. And that's no small feat.
Yes, and I think the biggest kind of the point to watch for is that RNG is a team that loves to bully the sidelines. Lamy gets a lot of advantages off of his Zatai when he's in the game, because if you have a side lane split push forming, then they're sending Xiaohu to the bottom lane, MLXG to the bottom lane to mess things up. Alex was there. That's what's fun about it. In fact, he ended up picking a kill for himself on the bottom side of the map in a 2v2 when he ended up catching a Camille walking forward. So I thought that was very nice to see coming out of Alex, cutting the ammunitions that were coming to the bottom lane. Fun stuff from him.
It's quite exciting to see FPX actually grow in such a tactical way. We've actually got a replay of the team fight of RNG Abel getting caught out. It wasn't so much him getting caught. I believe it was RNG trying to take the fight. Oh no, this one's actually the catch. And split from his team.
So for me, just taking a look at this, you're right. He ends up getting caught here. But take a look at how easy it was for the team of FPX to traverse the Letme's ultimate. Ordinarily, he actually timed it perfectly. Lands respite, ends, he comes in for the cleanup. Issue is the rest of his team's not in position to fight. And in fact, the Xayah can just reposition.
Xayah,
There we go. So FPX really played this one out well. The Kennen was already put behind a little bit earlier in that one too. So it was just very tough for them to work around Lands respite. So I think that it was really good from FPX to form those fights.
And it seems almost like perhaps a bit of hubris out of Abel to be so far away from any support from anyone on his team. Sure, he's got the signature Draven. He just had a 23-minute game one where he was able to step back in. Well, his game one, I suppose. But being that far out of position, would Uzi have made the same mistake, Raz?
I mean, look, Uzi probably wouldn't be playing Draven in that instance. But would he have made that mistake? No. I think that he was caught out. Remember the last team fight that went through that we didn't even get to see because it was rolling around way too quickly. A lot of focus was on the Kennen. Kennen was trying to come in, and then Carry's gone. How'd that happen? You're right. So there's a lot of time and experience that Abel needs to have here. I think a lot of the faults that this team had in this series wasn't attributed to Abel. I think it was a whole host of things teamwork-wise. In fact, if I were to say one reason why they ended up losing that one is because a lot of the hit squad point was that MLXG would go in for an ultimate, but then he wouldn't walk forward. I think that's something that was incredibly important. Because in this
play right here.
In this team fight here, he needs to walk forward. Otherwise, you can see what ends up happening. Galio's ultimate, disrespected. Sure, the pool comes through afterwards, and then it's the counterattack that comes through with a proper Lance respite.
And look at that, they're all in the funnel while LWX is firing across.
Yeah, so this is how it plays out. But in my theoretical world where you're supposed to walk forward as the Camille, then the Galio ulti comes through, and you don't have to worry about the enemy just walking at the edge of Camille ultimate, and then just waiting you out. So you just need to position so the Galio has the proper follow-up. I think MLXG was very concerned about his own life, but you just have to say Galio comes in immediately afterwards, and that's me done.
So yeah, all right, well, great. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm talking about,
okay,
I'm cosplaying as the Camille, all right?
You get in, you get the Galio ultimate, and then you're done.
Yep.
Okay, well, not if you're MLXG. Then you try to chase down a few more kills.
Yeah.
Alrighty, but still, though, that's the win for FPX as they take that victory. I believe that does now put them at 3 and 6 in the standings. We've also got to look at who they're playing up against next, because their next 3 games are against Vici, Suning, and Billy Gaming. And if you'll take a look, those teams are 2-6, 1 and 7, and Suning is at 4 and 4.
At the top of the day, we talked about how difficult it was for a lot of the teams at the bottom of the bracket. I'm saying 4th place to 7th place, so close in the Western Conference. FPX taking a win versus RNG is massive. If they can do that, and they did, looking to the next opponent, that's all doable. LGD, Vici, BLG and Vici, bottom of the bracket here. Sure, BLG's been having some victories here, so they're a team that you could look towards and say they'll take a few more. Problem is, FPX from that performance alone is looking very promising. And
now if you take a look at JD at the top as well, with their win, they're at 8 and 1 in the East Conference. The only team capable of catching them in a single game is Invictus Gaming. They'll actually be playing tomorrow, but Royal Never Give Up with that 2nd loss now is starting to look a little bit worse against JD. Some perhaps personal demons for the team. If we remember, their head-to-head back in spring was also not that great against JD.
Yeah, I mean, it always comes down to the heck. JD, at that time, trying to pull them into the skirmishes, and RNG, as you could tell in this game, they can get into it. They get pulled into those fights, and it's not very comfortable for them. I think what's really important here is that this is the beginning of the road to playoffs.
Yeah.
Because JD, if you ask from the top 4 teams of Rift Rivals, do you think that they're worse than JD? A lot of people will say no. But the fact that JD right now are topping the charts in the Eastern Conference, they can bypass so many with a bye. So if they end up getting the first bye, automatically seeding to the semifinals, that is slick. Very easy for them, and that gets them a lot of points if they end up losing and going in. That's a lot of discussions for the future.
Of course, yeah.
But these are goals that JD can have by just having a proper regular season, and so far, so good.
Yeah, again, they're 8 and 1 right now. They've only dropped a single series against Invictus Gaming, and even that went to 3 games.
Yes.
So now that we've seen the Shy back, maybe things are going to be a little bit different next time we see these 2 teams play. Maybe IG look for the 2-0, or maybe JD show they continue to learn and grow, because this team, it's been slow and steady growth ever since they've made it into the LPL, ever since actually Spring Split 2018 when Doinby left and they had to sort of reconstruct. So that we are seeing this growth bodes well for them. Still, though, we've also got to talk about how the rest of it is shaking off, because like you said, we're starting to hit that halfway point. Teams have played half of their games. And have you got your eyes on any other teams that are looking to shake things up?
BLG Suning Gaming. I say BLG just because I've always had my eyes on teams that are trying to make that break during the cross-conference. FPX have been the team in the past to do so. Gimgoon, honestly, it seems to be the correlation on game talents. Had their run during cross-conference. Now FPX, last split, had their run during cross-conference. Now doing the same apparently here.
Third time in a row.
But on to the point of BLG, they're trying to aim for Suning Gaming to get that 4th place spot in the Eastern Conference. Their last win, nets them that. Suning Gaming in their first go at things ended up losing to Rogue Warriors. So from that point of view in the Eastern Conference, those 2 teams are going to be going at it.
Well, we'll actually get the chance to see Suning play tomorrow against OMG. They're going to be playing in our 2nd match of the day. Before that, Invictus Gaming is taking on TOP, Rookie versus Goong.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, IG versus TOP is real fun just to watch out and see if the Shy ends up playing on the top side. Hey, and you know what? Maybe Marin plays too. I'm putting that little seed into the people's minds out there. And of course, Suning going up against EDG is real fun to see on the top side of the map, seeing if Sha'al can go up against Ray, and of course the junglers between both of them, Hacker, and of course on the side of EDG, Haro. Both of them have been on the up and up this split, so that's going to be great to see.
Yeah, always so much fun to see these junglers shake it out and try to chase down that final playoff spot, because it is so important to be in the top 4. But that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of myself, my analyst, our wonderful casters, and the whole production crew, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more awesome LPL action.